For over a century, America's economy was unstoppable. Factories roared, cities grew, each generation lived better than the last. Economic growth wasn't just progress, it was a promise. But what if that promise has expired? What if the American economy, once the engine of global prosperity, has reached its natural limit? For decades, we've believed every downturn was temporary. That innovation, population, and productivity would always push us higher. But today, that story is breaking down. The numbers say growth isn't coming back, at least not the kind we remember. And today, we're looking closer at why economic growth might never return in the United States. The U.S. economy still grows on paper, about 2% per year. But that number hides the truth. GDP per person, a better measure of real prosperity, has barely moved since the early 2000s. Productivity growth, the power that drives living standards, has fallen to its lowest level in over half a century. Every decade, the American economy slows a little more. The industrial engine that powered the 20th century, steel, manufacturing, exports, has given way to services, software, and speculation. The new economy moves faster, but produces less of what actually builds wealth. Growth hasn't disappeared, it's just no longer reaching the average American. In the 20th century, productivity was America's superpower. Electricity, cars, aviation, computers, every generation multiplied human capability. But sometime after the 1970s, that superpower faded. Despite smartphones, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence, productivity per worker barely budges. Why? Because much of our innovation no longer increases production, it increases attention. Social media and algorithms generate engagement, not output. Digital entertainment drives advertising revenue, not real wealth. We live in an age of technological abundance but economic stagnation. Technology has made our lives easier, but not necessarily more prosperous. Economic growth depends on people, workers, consumers, taxpayers, innovators. But America is running out of people. Birth rates are at their lowest level in a century. Immigration, once a major driver of expansion, is slowing. And baby boomers, the largest generation in U.S. history, are retiring in record numbers. By 2040, there will be more Americans over 65 than under 18. A shrinking labor force means fewer producers, and an aging population means more dependence. For decades, population growth guaranteed economic growth. Now, that equation no longer works. Without demographic renewal, even massive technological progress may not be enough to sustain long-term growth. When real growth began to slow, America found a way to fake it. Through debt. Since the 1980s, total U.S. debt, government, corporate, and household, has exploded. Debt became the fuel for an economy running out of steam. But debt isn't growth. It's tomorrow's income, spent today. In 1980, every new dollar of debt created nearly $1 of GDP. Today, it takes more than $4 of debt to produce that same output. We've reached the point of diminishing returns. More borrowing brings less benefit and more instability. As interest rates rise, the illusion of endless expansion begins to break. The American economy isn't collapsing, it's aging. And like all living systems, it's hitting its natural limits. For decades, America's growth problems were seen as domestic. But now it's clear. The slowdown is global. China's once miraculous rise is stalling. Europe's economies have been stagnant for years. Japan has been in near-zero growth for 3 decades. Even developing nations are struggling under debt, aging populations, and the limits of globalization. For 2 centuries, humanity's prosperity was built on expansion, cheap energy, open trade, and endless consumption. But now, the world is running up against ecological, demographic, and technological ceilings. The era of global growth may be ending, not just for America, but for everyone. Growth was never infinite. It was a phase, powered by energy, population, and productivity. But all three forces are weakening. Energy transitions take decades. Populations are shrinking. Productivity gains are flattening. We've reached a point where every new advancement comes with higher complexity, greater costs, and smaller returns. Some economists believe technology will rescue us again. Maybe AI or fusion energy will unlock another golden age, but others warn that we're entering a post-growth world, a future where stability, not expansion, becomes the measure of success. If economic growth never returns, what happens next? Inequality could worsen as wealth concentrates in assets instead of wages. Governments may rely more heavily on debt to sustain living standards, and automation may eliminate jobs faster than new ones appear. But there's also opportunity to redefine what progress means. In a post-growth America, innovation will shift from expansion to efficiency, from more to better, from quantity to quality. The challenge will be adapting our expectations, our politics, our markets, our culture, to a slower, more stable reality. For over a century, growth defined the American dream. It built its wealth, its optimism, its identity. But no system grows forever. The real question isn't how to bring growth back, but how to live wisely when it's gone. Maybe the next American century won't be about expansion, but endurance. Growth built the modern world, but wisdom will shape what comes next.